There is a voice in your head, and it's not you. If you listen carefully, you'll notice something disturbing about your thoughts. Right now, the thoughts in your mind are not actually yours. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good. Because most people will go their entire lives never questioning this. They assume that every thought they have is who they are. But what if that's the biggest illusion you've ever believed? What if the voice in your head isn't you? Think about this for a moment. A thought appears in your mind. You didn't plan it. You didn't consciously create it. It just shows up. Sometimes it's helpful. Sometimes it's negative. Sometimes it's anxious, repetitive, or even destructive. But no matter what it is, it feels personal. It feels like me. And that's where the illusion begins. Because according to the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda, most of what you experience as your thinking mind is not your true self at all. It's a combination of past conditioning, subconscious patterns, emotional memory, and something he described as the ego, the false identity you've built over time. The mind, in this sense, is not the source of your consciousness. It's more like a receiver, like a radio. It picks up signals, it processes impressions, it replays old recordings. But it is not the origin of who you are. Yet most people live as if they are completely identified with it. Every thought becomes truth. Every emotion becomes identity. Every fear becomes reality. And so they remain trapped inside a system they never chose, reacting automatically to patterns they don't even see. Imagine waking up every day and putting on a mask, and then forgetting that you're wearing one. After a while, you don't just wear the mask. You become it. That's what identification with the mind feels like. You don't realize there's something deeper behind it. You don't realize there's an observer, quietly watching everything unfold. Yogananda taught that your true nature is not the restless activity of the mind, but the silent awareness behind it. The part of you that notices thoughts without being controlled by them. The part of you that can step back and observe. But here's the problem. Most people never access that part of themselves. Because the noise is constant, thoughts keep coming, reactions keep happening, and there's no space in between. So it feels like a continuous stream of me. But let's slow this down. Right now, as you're listening to this, notice your thoughts. Not by trying to change them, not by controlling them, just watch. What do you see? A thought comes, then another, then another. They move quickly. Sometimes they repeat. Sometimes they contradict each other. Sometimes they don't even make sense. But here's the key question. If you can see the thought, who is the one seeing it? That question changes everything. Because the moment you realize you can observe a thought, you create distance from it. And in that distance, something powerful happens. You stop being completely controlled by it. You begin to see that thoughts are events, not identity. They are movements in the mind, not the essence of who you are. This is what Yogananda pointed to again and again. He emphasized that the ego, the I that most people believe themselves to be, is not the true self. It's a construct, a temporary formation built from memory, habit, and attachment. It constantly tries to maintain control. It wants to label everything. It wants to interpret everything. It wants to make everything about itself. And it does this by using thoughts. Thoughts become its primary tool. But here's the subtle part. The ego doesn't tell you it exists as something separate. It convinces you that it is you. So when a thought appears, especially a negative one, you don't question it. You believe it. I'm not good enough. Something is wrong. I might fail. What if things go badly? These thoughts feel real because they come with emotional weight, but that doesn't make them true. It just makes them familiar, and familiarity creates the illusion of truth. Over time, these repeated thought patterns form what feels like a stable identity, but in reality, it's just repetition, conditioned thinking, playing on a loop. Yogananda compared this to grooves in the brain, patterns that become easier to follow the more they are repeated, and unless you become aware of them, you will keep following them automatically. This is why people feel stuck, not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack potential, but because they are unconsciously identified with patterns they didn't choose. And here's the turning point. The moment you begin to observe your thoughts instead of immediately believing them, you step outside of that loop. You begin to see the machinery of the mind, and once you see it clearly, it starts to lose its power over you. Not instantly, but gradually, because awareness breaks identification, and without identification, the ego has less control. This doesn't mean your thoughts disappear, they will still come, but your relationship to them changes. Instead of being pulled into every thought, you watch them come and go, like clouds moving across the sky. Some are light, some are heavy, some pass quickly, some linger, but none of them define the sky itself. And you are not the clouds, you are the sky. This is not just a poetic idea, it's a practical shift in perception, one that Yogananda emphasized through meditation, not as an escape, but as a method of direct experience. Because when you sit in stillness and observe your mind, you begin to notice something extraordinary. The thoughts slow down, the gaps between them widen, and in those gaps, there is silence, a deep, steady, unchanging presence. That presence is not reactive, it doesn't judge, it doesn't rush, it simply is. And the more you connect with it, the more you realize it has always been there. Even when your mind was loud, even when your emotions were intense, even when you felt lost, it was there, quietly observing everything. This is what Yogananda referred to as your true self, not the restless mind, not the shifting personality, but the underlying awareness that never changes. And once you begin to recognize this, something shifts in how you live. You become less reactive, less attached to every passing thought, less defined by fear or doubt. Not because those things disappear, but because you see them for what they are, temporary movements, not permanent truths. And this creates a kind of inner freedom, the ability to experience life without being completely controlled by the mind. But here's where most people misunderstand this idea. They think the goal is to stop thinking entirely, to silence the mind completely. But that's not the point. The mind is a tool. It's useful. It helps you navigate the world, solve problems, communicate, create. The issue is not thinking itself. It's unconscious identification with thinking, believing every thought without question, reacting automatically instead of consciously. So the real shift is not eliminating thoughts. It's changing your relationship to them, becoming aware of them without being consumed by them. And this is something you can start practicing right now. It doesn't require hours of meditation. It doesn't require withdrawing from life. It starts with a simple experiment. For the next 10 seconds, just watch your thoughts. Don't try to control them. Don't judge them. Just observe. Notice what appears. Notice how quickly they change. Notice how they come and go on their own. And then ask yourself, if you are watching these thoughts, who is the one watching? Don't rush to answer it intellectually. Just sit with the question. Because the answer is not something you think, it's something you experience. And the more you return to that experience, the more your perspective begins to shift. You stop being lost in the noise of the mind. You begin to recognize the silence behind it. And in that silence, there is clarity. There is peace. There is a sense of being that doesn't depend on external conditions. That's what Yogananda was pointing toward. Not a belief system, not a philosophy, but a direct realization that who you are is far deeper than the thoughts you think. And once you begin to see that, you can never fully go back to being unconsciously controlled by them again. The thoughts will still come. The mind will still move. But something in you will remain steady, watching, aware, free. So the next time a thought appears in your mind, especially one that feels heavy or limiting, pause for a moment. Don't immediately believe it. Just observe it. And remember, you are not the thought. You are the one who sees it. Now watch your next thought very carefully, because if you didn't choose it, then who did?